Hi guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. So I hope you all are enjoying this time during quarantine and really just being able to spend time with family and really just discover some more hobbies. Today I wanted to share a little bit more about me. I know you guys have probably already saw the welcome video on my YouTube channel, but today I actually want to share a bit about my walk with Christ and my journey because it is truly a central part of who I am. And so before I get started with the video, I want to preface this and say that a lot of my journey may not replicate or be representative of everyone else's journey who is a Christian, but personally this has just been my experience with coming to know Christ, with being able to study His Word and study the Bible thoroughly, as well as being in community with other believers. So I do want to preface this and say that everyone's walk with Christ is different, and that we should not judge others based on what their walk and journey with Christ has been. So I hope you guys really enjoy the video, or even just listening to me kind of walk through what I've gone through in the past with Christ, and just how things have changed from me being a child to me now being an adult. So if you would like to continue on, please stay tuned. I hope you guys will enjoy, and please leave any questions or comments concerning my walk with Christ, or even questions you may even have about Christ or coming to know God in the comments down below. So thank you so much, and stay tuned, and please like and subscribe. So growing up in the church, I didn't really start to dig deeper in terms of learning more about Christ and reading more of His Word more frequently until I actually graduated high school. So to go back in time, I have pretty much grew up in the church my entire life. I started attending church as a child. My parents were also members of their own church, or a church in DC, I should say, before we started attending another church in Maryland. And so throughout those times, they have always been members, and even before I was born, they were members of a church, and they studied the Word, and they were believers. And so when I was born, naturally, just going and attending to Sunday school, listening to my Sunday school teachers, and even attending a Christian school, I was pretty much indoctrinated in Christianity. And so I started to believe really just based on what I had been taught. I think for me, my Christianity, if I could preface this and say, was more surface level from the ages of me being a toddler for about 4 years old until me being about 15 or 16 years old. I definitely was a believer, and I believed what I was learning about God and about Christ, but I wasn't really hitting my heart. So much so that I wanted to change the way I was living outside of church. And so really, like, at those ages, what Christianity looked like for me was going to church on Sunday, going to Sunday school, listening to the sermon, and then pretty much doing whatever I wanted during the week, and praying at night. And that was pretty much it. It wasn't anything deeper than that. I thought that if I did those two things of praying at night and going to church and listening in Sunday school and not getting in trouble in school, that it was enough. And so that's kind of really the springboard for my faith journey. And kind of like prefaces, I do want to say that everyone's beginning is different. However, for my beginning, it really started with me just growing up in the church, but not really having that close relationship with God where I talk to him daily or I'm reading chapters of the Bible outside of Sunday service. So that's really what ages 4 to 15, I want to say almost 16, look like for me. And so I think that just looking back on my experience with Christianity and really just with the church and the church in the United States, is that we often baby our children in how we teach them what believing in God entails. I know for myself, I was taught that believing in God means that you think he died on the cross for you. You think that he rose again, and you pretty much feel like, okay, if I believe that God died for me, rose again, then I'm a Christian, and I don't have to do anything else. I don't have to live for God. I don't have to care about him. I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is go to church on Sunday. And so basically, I feel like this is what a lot of churches in the U.S. Do at times with children and introducing them to Christianity. And I know this is not all churches. It depends on what church you attend or what church you go to, and what church you feel comfortable with sharing your experience with. But I think that based on what I've experienced, I know that U.S. churches do at times baby children and not really give them the hard and fast rule on what Christianity is, what they're really believing, why they should believe in God. And really even, some of it is shielding who God, a lot of the characteristics that God entails. Like a lot of people don't really know all the characteristics of God. And so I think, again, that's, a lot of those things I really was not privy to, because my Bible study really stopped after Sunday school was over. And so for me, it was more so of, okay, I understand this Bible story about Noah or Adam or Eve, but that's pretty much it. I didn't really read too much into it or kind of understand how certain stories in the Bible actually apply to my life. And so a lot of this was kind of the foundation, I want to say, to my introduction to Christianity and to God, based on what the church had shared with me. And so I think that one thing I will say is, looking back on my experience, I understand why there are so many people who doubt who God is, or so many people who question the church, because I think that a lot of times when, especially if you're born into a family where that, always goes to church, it's kind of hard to figure out where your norm is, or what your relationship separate from your parents is with God. And so I think that's one thing that really affected my walk with Christ personally. And so so that was basically my experience from 4 to about 15 to 16, I want to say. And then what happened that changed that will be the fact that I actually ended up recommitting my life to Christ. And not only that, but I had a Bible study teacher my senior year of high school who actually poured in so much of the word during our meeting times, and really just kind of brung it home to, what and certain topics that I just didn't understand clearly, and almost also kind of fostered a want in me to learn more about God, and not only learn Him, but want to live for Him. And so this was really just coming up on my senior year of high school. And during that time, I was deciding on what college I was going to go to, you know, what I was going to do in the future. But when I look back, I think how interesting it was that it was a pivotal time where my faith took a turn for the better. You know, I think how a lot of times our faith can take a turn for the worse when we face difficult situations, or when we are at a turning point, whether it be graduating high school, college, starting a new career, moving to a new city or state. A lot of times this can really affect our relationship with Christ, in some ways bad. But I think in this experience that I had in high school, it was for the better. And so I am going to go ahead and say that if you guys want to hear the rest of my story concerning my walk with Christ, please stay tuned for part 2. Part 2 is actually going to be my walk with Christ from senior year of high school until now. And so it's also going to have a little bit of tips and tricks on studying the Bible, some books that I found helpful, as well as just what to expect as a college student if you are going to college and you want to maintain your faith. So I really encourage you guys, if you all want a bit more in-depth conversation and just kind of like where things are at now in terms of Christianity, please stay tuned for part 2. I hope that you guys have enjoyed part 1 so far. I know that it wasn't as broad of information, but it basically was just summing up the fact that my Christianity wasn't as fervent as it is now. So I do want to preface this as well and say that everyone's start and introduction to Christ is different. And so my experience was my experience, but it may not be everyone else's experience. But I did want to go ahead and share that with you all to be transparent and to even give some insight into how some younger people may feel. So stay tuned for part 2. If you have any questions from part 1, please let me know down in the comments. Hope to see you guys and hear from you all soon. Bye.